Welcome to Beyond Sunday at Seymour Heights, a podcast created to go beyond the Sunday service experience, exploring some of the deeper questions of our faith and offering additional content from behind the scenes and from the cutting room floor. I'm your host, Adam, and over the last several weeks, you've had a chance to meet several of our early members that have helped shape our church over the last 50 years. Today's episode is next in line with a sweet couple who has a rich family history at Seymour Heights. Mark and Angie Aubrey have not only been members of Seymour Heights, but also have served on staff for many years. Let's tune in and hear from them now.
We're Mark and Angie Aubrey, and we moved to Seymour in February of 1996. We moved down here for jobs. Mark went to work for a software company in South Knoxville, and I came to work here at the church. Initially, I was hired as the secretary, and I worked part-time. And then in 2000, so 4 years later, I became the worship director of the church and did that until July of 2021. So I worked here for quite a number of years. One of the greatest joys that I had in those years working were the years that I was able to work with my dad, Jim Knowles, who was on staff at the church. He was the minister of discipleship and evangelism. He started at the church in 91. So 5 years into his ministry, I got to join him and work with him. And then Mark worked with my mom at the software company. So we had a lot of good ties with my parents and with our growing family. We had one son at the time we moved down, and since we had Caroline in 2004.
Moving down to an area that I wasn't familiar with, to a church where I didn't know a lot of people outside of family, I found both the area and the church to be very welcoming. And it was good. We found our niche. We found our place to serve. Angie was on staff and heavily involved with the worship program. I assisted by playing bass. I moved into a role of deacon, and hopefully did a good job.
Well, and the family connection actually goes back further than 1991 because back in 1986, my aunt and uncle, Jeff and Mary Case, were involved with the church. And through them living here, my grandparents also were involved in the church for a number of years before they passed away. So we literally have, 3 or 4 or 5 generations that were involved at Seymour Heights through the years, not all together at the same time, but still, it was very much a family thing. And I think that's, Seymour Heights has always been family to us. It's always meant family to us. Even in the times that we would visit before my parents got involved, before we moved down from the Chicago area, it felt like coming home because we got to know people through the years.
One of the other things, speaking of family, we've been blessed to have 3 generations of our family, Angie's dad Jim, Angie, and then Edison, all on the platform worshiping together. This has happened with other families as well, with the Warner family and others. But it's nice to be able to see. One of the things with Seymour Heights is it's not just numbers or building programs or this event or that event, but it is family and friendships. We've been very blessed to have made friends early when we got here. And there's very strong friends, and I cherish their relationship with us.
Yeah. And I think Mark talked about the joy of serving alongside my dad and my son, and very much a joy. But also, there are people that I have worked with for the last 20-some years, and truly, it was a joy to grow up in my faith with them along their faith journey in the area of worship. And 2 that come to mind right off the bat would be Cindy McCrary and Patty Sams. And the 3 of us, sing together. We sang together for many years. We formed a group that sang. We led worship at Johnson. We've done lots of things, but And we had different people come in and out, but it was always the three of us. And that's just always been a very tight, that's a tight circle for me. And that's a very tight, that's just, that kind of keeps me rooted. And so, I think probably for me, family and music would be the two things that were the most significant to me in my years here. And it's not just the music that we, the worship music that we sang, but years of choir, adult choir, teen choir, creative arts camp, doing crazy musicals with kids, and now seeing their children involved. It's a little bit humbling when you realize that you're getting older because your kids that you helped, that you watched grow up, they're now having kids of their own. But it's an exciting thing to see, and it's that, I guess it's that legacy of family and music and faith, and those three things are so important. So that's kind of been what this experience at Seymour Heights has meant for us. There are other, this is a weird fact, and this doesn't need to be included, but someone needs to know that our son Edison was the first person baptized in the new building after we moved down there. And it's just a cool thing for me, to know that. But I have a memory of sitting with my dad and Bob and Lee Richardson, watching them tear down the old building, to build the new one. And Shannon Acree and Vanessa Bounds came and watched. They wanted to watch the destruction too. And again, it's family. It's watching those families grow and have families of their own. It's just, it's very much been a part of our lives for the last almost 30 years.
And for all the memories that we have of trying to find your kids at the end of the service, or playing hide and seek, or a teen night, or whatever, and we can go back 20 some years, but I'm excited for the memories that are going to be made, whether it's through us or other members or visitors. One of the things I think as we move to the next 50 years, I'd encourage the people watching this now or 35, 50 years in the future, don't forget about those that came before. Whether it's the Dwayne Calhouns and Bill Blevins and Lee Richardsons, and Bob Berries and the others, Larry Vosding, and their families and their wives that supported them as they ministered and reached out to the community. Starting in a bank, into the stable, it grew, it's going to keep growing on some level, in some dimension. But there are those that have gone before, that have laid the groundwork to get us to this point and beyond.
I think for years in the Seymour community, a lot of times people would mistake our name for Sevier Heights or Seymour. They get Seymour Heights and Sevier Heights mixed up. And I think sometimes Seymour Heights just always kind of felt like that little church, that little church that could. But Seymour Heights has been a major player in the faith community of Seymour. We're right in the center, and I think this is where there's so much more to come, and I'm excited to see what an impact we make. We made an impact years ago when the Boys and Girls Club were here, and as the building has expanded, and we've made those slight impacts, but I think there's so much more to come. I don't know what it is, but it's exciting to have been part of the early story, and it'll be fun to see what the next chapter looks like. We may not be here for it, but we're looking forward to see what that will be, to see the impact it'll make. There have been a lot of quiet but powerful men and women of faith that have gone through the doors of Seymour Heights through the years. Some names people don't even remember, but there was a woman named Becky Jones. There have been people like that they've come in and out of our lives, and they've made a huge impact in our church family, and ergo to the community. And I think it's exciting now to see who are those people of this next generation. And I'm excited to watch them grow in their faith and watch them become maybe those quiet spiritual powerhouses that make a huge impact, but you'd never know it. That's the exciting thing for me. There's a lot more going on there's a lot more going on beneath the surface than I think people realize. We're no longer that little church on the corner across from McDonald's. There's a lot happening here, and I think a lot more is going to happen in time. And I guess for me, I'm just thankful to have been part of the early story.
And McDonald's is we were here before McDonald's was.
There's the story of, you talked about the Sons of the Galilean. Sometimes Lee was not able to play for them, and so I was chosen to accompany the Sons of the Galilean. And one time we sang, I believe over in Morristown, somewhere east of here. And my mother wisely stayed home, probably with my kids or something, but we went over and Sue Berry was there. And as we were coming home, Bill Blevins' van died on the side of the road. Or maybe it was Bob. Somebody's van died on the side of the road. So we sent the old folks home. We sent Bill and Peggy and probably Pop's mom. We sent them home. And Sue and Bob and Dad and I stayed and waited for a wrecker or something. And in order to get us from I-40 to safety, they put Sue and I in the back of a squad car. And we laughed ourselves to the point of tears as we're sitting in the back of a squad car. You don't think you'll be in the squad car with your pastor's wife, but that was a fun memory. And of course, traveling with Adam and a bunch of teenagers to Cincinnati and Kings Island, and it was all sorts of fun.
Mark, any for you?
No, I just the phrase, there was the Sons of the Galilean, and Angie talked about singing with Patty and Cindy and some others that came and left. Our nickname for them was the Daughters of the Sons of the Galilean. Yeah. It's not really a side splitter, but
it was fun. It was fun. Those were fun times.
Yeah.